So what is the CML Advocates Declaration on Generics all about? In May 2014, patient organizations like us from 58 countries met in Serbia and discussed with health professionals the introduction of generics in CML treatment. Patients welcome that generics will provide more affordable access to treatment in many countries. However, patients are worried about the impact of switching from one drug to another for non-medical reasons. That's very important, for non-medical reasons. Right now, generics are used in 32 countries, and patients agree to call on governments, health authorities, healthcare professionals to minimize potential uncertainties and risk for patients with the following 5 measures on the declaration. Number 1, no generic drug to treat CML should be provided to patients without reliable proof of quality, as well as equivalence of pharmacokinetics and bioavailability. Generic drugs should be approved by the appropriate authorities of the respective region, country or region, also reflecting a narrow therapeutic range of these cancer drugs. Now, we have introduced a new term here, pharmacokinetics. Bioavailability has been discussed earlier on, but basically it's about the dosage being in the blood. It's almost the same with bioavailability. Okay, the dosage of the generic is the same, almost the same with that of the branded drug, TKI. The second declaration is, when treating severe cancer diseases like leukemias with generics, further comparative clinical data should be collected as demanded by regulatory bodies and published to ensure comparable clinical efficacy of products with the same compound. A CML patient should not be switched between products with the same compound for non-medical reasons, provided this patient already responds optimally to the current product and tolerates it well. So as we see here, the CML 101 terminologies are present. Number 4, if a switch for non-medical reasons between products with the same compound is enforced, this should not happen more frequently than once in a year, to allow a consistent follow-up of responses and side effects on the same CML treatment. If a patient loses response or experiences a significant increase of toxicities after switching to the other product, the patient must have the option to return to the previous treatment or switch to another treatment if available. And the last on the declaration is, after switching between products with the same compound, more frequent monitoring should be conducted to detect potential differences in effectiveness or side effects early. So, we should not lobby against generic drugs because it's out there. It's a reality. However, we should fight, and this is a strong word that was used during the CML Horizons in Barcelona, we should fight for good generic drugs produced by reliable pharmas. Focus on our right of not switching to another drug for non-medical reasons. If switching must be done, it must be under strict physician control. There must be regular monitoring. Physicians must have appropriate and enough experiences in treating patients with generics or switching from one drug to another. And be informed. Knowledge is power. Get as much information about the generic drugs in your country, those that are currently available and those to come, and formal and informal information like TKI register, other experiences that we have, even rumors, okay, that are prevalent in our setting in the region. It's all about sharing. The CML generics portal is one of the most healthy data set is on the cmladvocates.net. The first session on CML generics was held at CML Horizons in Prague in 2013. And Serbia was the first European country with generics. But in Asia, do we know? We're not sure. I'm not sure. A special page for generics called Resource and Knowledge Center on CML Generics, Copy Drugs, and Substandard Drugs was created at the website of cmladvocates.net. Now, this will confuse us again. What are generics? What are copy drugs? What are substandard drugs? Let's not even mention the fakes. Okay. So it's here. It's in this portion of the website of CML Advocates Network. CML Generics is a whole bunch of subportals, everything about generics. All we need to do is to have time to explore the page, the portals. Within the main portal of CML Generics is a TKI register, which is an unofficial list of TKIs. Listed are 5 original drugs, the branded drugs, and 77 generic drugs. It's patient-driven. Information provided by CML advocates around the world. That is why right after CML Horizons, I emailed all of the Rising Sun members to give me some data which we can provide the website, and thank you for those that shared not only the articles but even the rumors and some other data. Those that were found to be valid is in the web. It's in the cmladvocates.net. The main goal is to increase transparency and provide easy access to generic drug information to advocates. It's not commercial. Okay. Information available about each CML drug: name, type, active substance, manufacturer, availability, and authorization status, publications, and indications. It's all there. It's not clear, but you could see that it's a whole bunch of information. You're just waiting for us to find out. There's no need to be afraid. But the TKI register is important not only for advocates to quickly find information about a specific drug, but for physicians and healthcare professionals as well. The TKI register has some value only if it is up to date. That's why even after Rising Sun, we encourage everybody, you don't have to email me. You could go direct to cmladvocates.net. Nicole would be there to answer you back if she will post what you have shared. It's only relevant if it's up to date. Okay. So this is a call for all advocates to provide the TKI register with new information about generics in your own country. There's even a what we call a toolbox initiated by 2 CML groups, one in Canada and one in Serbia, which provided a how-to literature on how to fight bad generic drugs and how to address different groups, media, the public, how to explain to the other patients what is good, what is bad. So it's a toolbox of probably what we might need. Of course, you have to adapt it into the local setting. So what you provided me, as I mentioned earlier, is on the generic scientific publications portion of the website. It's all there. It's for us to take a look and then update once in a while. I think the world is hungry for data from this region about generics. That's my feeling. Full acknowledgement to the head of the CML Association of Serbia for making me use her slides, Helena Sugorovic. And as she was saying, there's no need to be afraid, just to be wise. And I asked her, do we need to sign the declaration? And she said initially, no. So it's just to inform everybody what the declaration is all about.
Okay, I have question. I have a question regarding the distribution channel of the generic drug, because I'm coming from Taiwan. It is the hospital to decide which drug to be used. So even though we might know some generic drug, but it is not available for the patient itself because it is decided by the hospital. What should we do? Because we can not go to the street and go to the pharmacy, said I need the generic drug. It is not possible.
So the hospital is endorsing the drug to you?
Yes, because okay, no matter which kind of TKI in Taiwan, it is decided by the hospital. Instead of, okay, doctor told you we have 3 kind of TKI, or even including the generic. Which one do you want? No, we have no such choice. It is the hospital. Maybe the hospital A said that, okay, you can go to the generic A. But the other hospital B said, sorry, we only have the generic B. So what should we do for the choice of the generic?
There's a link between the presentation that was given before and the answer to your question. So what you and the patients can do is report the adverse events, right? So that's something that we can do to figure out in our countries. Are you supposed to report to your physician? In some countries, you can do some spontaneous reporting to an agency of the government where you can actually, people that suffer adverse events can report. So that's on the side of the side effects, that maybe the drug has different side effects. And then the other side of it, which is the efficacy of the drug, of course, we go back to being able to monitor. And we always end up with, we need better monitoring in our countries so that we can safely have these drugs. Because I don't think that we can stop the generics, and I don't think we can change the system, but we can control at the patient level what we put out on the information that we have on how the patients are doing, I feel.
I think it is less of a problem in countries where the branded TKIs have expired patents already, meaning the generics can come openly, and so it's under scrutiny most of the time. What's more difficult and what's more dangerous are for those countries with still patents for those branded TKIs, and yet the patients cannot afford them. They will resort, or they probably are now resorting to online buying of generic drugs. I hope it's good generic drugs, not the fake ones, not the substandard TKIs. That's why we put up the TKI register. It's up for us to tell our patients. It's always up to the patient and his or her attending physician to decide which generics are good. At least now, where we have a list. Yes, Jerapon.
Does anyone has predicted forecast that how many generic will be available in a few years time? Because from now we can see like 70, right?
77.
Yeah, and then I mean another 5 year times it's going to be like 200 brand. Is that going to be like that?
I'm not so sure. I think Dr. Ross was saying during break time.
And then as a patient, we start confused, which one we should take, we should not take. And it's going to be the same problem with Taiwan. We are not the one who decide what to take. The one give more money to the government, then they decide to take that one. Probably true.
I think, just to make a comment, I think that's one of the values of the declaration, is that you should be able to say to your hospital, if the hospital is providing the drug, or to your government, of course, they have a right to buy a generic because it's cheaper, but they shouldn't change it every 6 months because another company came along with a cheaper deal. So that at least you can present the declaration to whoever is buying your drug for you and say, at least think about these things before you make a deal. You can't tell them which drug to choose, but you can ask them to think about these issues that might affect your health and your safety. Because the people who buy the drug, if they're buying for 100 patients, the cost is going to be a big deal. So at least you want them to think about whether it's just the money or whether there are other issues. And that's one of the things that the declaration makes clear. So.
I think combining what Dr. Ross said and what Pat said, we cannot change the method of procurement for the governments. They will definitely choose the lesser cost of generic TKIs. But what we could do is to be vigilant about the side effects of shifting to this new generic drug and report it to the authorities. I think we have to make noise.
Thank you, Rod, for updating us on the declaration of generics.